get this going and then we'll get cracking. Come on, YouTube, take it. Go. Give it a minute more. There we go, it's on. Okay. Great. I think we got to get going here. So, yeah, thank you to everyone for joining us today. We've got an exciting session for you today. Quite different from others as well, but a very interesting one on setting up an ocean accelerator. So we've got an amazing speaker with us today that's doing this across the continent. His name is Herland Servao. I'm probably saying your name wrong, Herland, eh? I should know it by now. But he's come to chat to you today about what the OceanHub are doing. They're working with multiple accelerators across the continent and ESOs and helping them, yeah, with a blueprint of how to actually set up an ocean accelerator. I know some of your organizations may be inland and landlocked incubators, but there's still a lot of stuff that's being done in aquaculture across the continent with inland projects, huge programs with various people. Internationals coming into Africa as well. So Herland's going to give you some information, just a little bit about Herland to start with. He's an enthusiastic project manager in economic development. He's passionate about facilitating partnerships and African cultures. And he's really looking for impact projects to contribute to at the moment. So comes from years of experience of economic development, international relations, project management. He's an amazing team player, having worked with him myself on an event called Ocean Innovation Africa. I can attest to that, and really excited about community management and working with people across the continent. So thank you, Herland. I'm going to hand over to you with that introduction, and yeah, we take it from there.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very excited to talk to you today. So I will tell you a bit more about like the work that we do at OceanHub Africa, but also mostly why, to give you like some inputs on why, let's say like venturing into supporting blue economy, blue tech startups, it's quite like a thing to do currently across Africa. So quick word about myself first. I think like Rex already did the introduction. So my name is Erlan, but most people call me H to avoid butchering my name, just like Rex did. So I'm actually from an island which, let's say, shaped a lot like my love for the ocean. So there are some things that I might say that I might be biased a bit because I experienced from a young age, let's say, how the way the damage that human activities have on the ocean actually affect the life of people, because I had that experience first. And I'm currently then the managing director at OceanHub Africa. You want to connect with me on LinkedIn, there is a QR code up there. Otherwise, there is also my email address if you have questions, which I expect if you are interested because let's say like 45 minutes is very short to discuss that topic, but I do my best to give you not only as much understanding as possible of that sector and where it's standing now in across Africa, but also some resources that might help you to go further as an ESO who might be interested in supporting startups in that sector or other type of entrepreneurs, not only startups. So just to start up with, let me tell you a bit of about OceanHub Africa, so the organization that I'm representing today. So we are based in Cape Town, which is very interesting because it's the city where virtually three oceans meet, but also with quite a good innovation ecosystem and good research centers when it comes to ocean sustainability, marine sciences, etc. So our what we do actually on a daily basis is that we support, we connect, and we invest in the ocean impact ecosystems, mainly entrepreneurs. In terms of entrepreneurs, we have startups with the potential to scale across Africa, but we also have specific programs to support micro businesses in rural coastal communities across Africa. So if you want to know more about us, I mean, don't hesitate to ask questions at the end. But also, it's quite easy to get information about us going to the internet. So today, in terms of startups, we have like 42 actually startups has changed in our portfolio, helping with fighting against the overexploitation of the ocean, to leverage also the power of the ocean to fight against the climate crisis, but also enhancing anything that's related to food security, energy safety, and see how we can foster the ocean for that. But I will tell you a bit more about that. And so today, we've supported our portfolio to raise $10.2 million to date, knowing that we started in 2019. So yes, more or less like 4 years, because we started end of 2019. So for me to tell you a bit more about, to give you an understanding of what you're doing, I think it's very important to start with the ecosystem that we're talking about. And so as you have heard, it's the ocean. And I always like to start these sessions with people explaining or giving like a highlight of what does the ocean mean to them. Might be difficult for the people who are in landlocked countries, but we can give it a try. And for instance, if I ask you the questions of 3 words that define the ocean for you, what would you say in 3 words? What does the ocean represent for you? You can type in the chat. You can actually unmute yourself and give me these 3 words. Someone would like to take a chance?
Yes, Halan. How are
Yes.
you? Apollo
I'm
Sega
fine, thank
from
you.
Uganda, Kampala. For
Ah,
me, the ocean is beach, sun, and lots of seafood. Thank
okay.
you.
So food, beach, sun. So fun, actually, unless if you don't like the beach and the sun. Someone else would like to give it a try? In the chat, ocean is equal marine resources. Okay, cool. Interesting. So don't hesitate to type. I will move to the next slide so that we get that going. So if you ask me this question, actually my answer would be that ocean in 3 words for me, it's life, fragility, because quite fragile as well, and hope, because uh, uh, there is quite a bit of solutions that can help us to have that we can be fostered, that we can use, that we can get from the ocean, that will help us to have a better future. So basically, these 3 words will be the words that will guide my presentation today to help you understand the importance of this ecosystem, but also the opportunity that lie for in there for ESOs. Let's start with life. So basically, what I would like to say in terms of life in a one-liner is that there would be no human health if actually the ocean is not healthy. And I have another question for you in order like to grasp that concept of a relationship between human health and ocean health. So if I ask you, what would be the proportion of the oxygen that we breathe that can be attributed to the ocean's contribution? What would you say in terms of percentage? What is the percentage of the ocean that of the oxygen that we breathe that is produced by the ocean? Can someone try to get a guess of that? Come on, unmute 50%. Diana, 70.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. I mean, like, it seems that like you guys know that actually because we already says like the ocean help us to catch one of every two breath that we take. So basically it's 50%. So, but but there are some research that that estimate that that proportion from 50 to 70%. But this is not only like this is not only like the great contribution that the ocean does for our life. Actually, when we estimate that should the ocean be an economy, it would bring, so the GDP of the ocean would be 1.5 trillion US dollar per year, which means that like should the ocean be an economy, it will rank seventh in terms of the biggest economy in the world. So right after France and before Italy. But there are so many other ecosystem services that we call that the ocean enable, and also the marine ecosystems, such as absorbing the CO2 emissions. Actually, the ocean is the biggest carbon sink in the world. And we also estimate that mangroves, if we take the same surface of mangrove and tropical forests, that a mangrove will sink 3 to 4 times more carbon dioxide than compared to the same surface of forest. It's also the biggest climate heat regulator in the world. So we estimate like 90% of the excess of heat has been absorbed by the ocean. So, and it's very important for food as well. So 3 billion people rely on seafood as the first source of protein in the world. And actually, in terms of Africa, more than 200 million people rely on seafood as the first source of protein. There's lots of numbers like this that I will share with you. You will have access to that to this presentation. And another one that like makes lots of sense also like it's quite revealing in terms of economic is like the fact that 150,000 kilometers of coastline is protected by a coral reef, or sometimes also other type of coastal ecosystems. It enables to save insurance company to save, it enables them to save $4 billion a year of claim, meaning that today, because this habitat is protected by coastal ecosystem and coral reef, etc., when there is a hurricane that happens, the fact that these costs are protected, that saves money to the insurance company, for instance. So yeah, so this is just to show you how much related our life and our well-being it is to the ocean, and also for a thriving economy. And in Africa is even quite important as well, because out of 52, sometimes 53 countries, depending on where we are, out of 52, 53 countries, 38 countries in Africa are either island countries or coastal countries, which represent actually 13 million square kilometers of ocean space that is under the jurisdictions of African countries. We estimate today that the oceans have the economic impact of the ocean in Africa is $296 billion in terms of revenue, and creates 50,000 jobs in diverse sectors. And there are also some unexplored sectors because there's quite a bit of innovation that can happen, because the ocean is also, well, we know space more than we know the ocean. So there's quite a bit of unexplored activities that can happen when it comes to the ocean. And the second word that I said is like, even though this ecosystem is very important for us, for our economy, for our leisure, as it was said before, it's quite a fragile ecosystem. And this ecosystem is fragile today because it's threatened by human activity. And the main sources of the main threats on the ocean and coastal ecosystems are actually overfishing, climate change, because of the rise of temperature. Actually, the way that the ocean is contributing to our life is being like endangered. Habitat destruction, there is more and more, let's say, construction closer to the coast that damages like coral reef, mangroves, etc. There is even like some mangroves that are being like destroyed in order to have some habitation for people. There is pollution. We're talking a lot about plastic pollution because this is what is the most visible, but actually there is quite a lot of pollutions from agriculture, from the fact that wastewater it's not can sometimes not be properly managed, that put in danger actually the ocean ecosystems and all like the seafood, etc., that feeds us. And then there is something else as well, is because today 90% of trade is happening through the ocean, there is some invasive species that are displaced from one part of the world to another part of the world, and then they take over indigenous species, which makes them like disappearing. So these are the main sources of threats. And actually today, like the situation is quite alarming, meaning that like we estimate that 34% of fish stock is overexploited. There is like 9 to 14 million tons of plastic that end up in the ocean every year. So I invite you, out of curiosity, if you don't know, to type one day on Google the plastic continent. And there is like literally a continent of plastic in the Pacific Ocean, for instance. We talk a lot about land-based pollutions that end up in the ocean, but there is also an important source of plastic pollution that is all the nets, fishing nets that are illegally discarded at sea, which not only creates pollution, but because there are nets as well, you get like some species entangled into it and like actually kill these species. Something else as well, because we don't have in several countries proper wastewater treatment, there is 6.2 million tons of nitrogen that is released in the ocean. Why this is important? Because when these pollutants end up in the ocean, it absorbs the oxygen that is in the ocean in some spaces, and it creates, well, if there's no oxygen, there's no life. So it kills fish. So most of the time when you see lots of fish that are washed on the beach, there is a high probability that it's because of this type of pollution. And we estimate today that if we don't change the way we manage the ocean, or that like we interact with this ecosystem, the cost for the global economy by 2050 will be $400 billion. How this makes you feel? Someone would like to jump in? Okay. I'm saying that because usually when I ask these questions, people said, "Ooh, we are screwed. We really need to act because otherwise we won't have food, we will have less oxygen, and we will be like more let's say sad and scared. We will have like more damages when we have like a natural disaster happening. And actually, if we don't act today, there are like few risks that like we might face. The first one is the risk of food insecurity. As I said, 200 million Africans rely on the ocean to feed themselves as the first source of protein. If we don't change the way we interact with the ocean, we might not have this source of protein. Another one is a climate migration as well. As the climate, the climate hazards like becoming more and more powerful, if we don't have these coastal ecosystems to protect our population, our people, we might need to move and to go more inland. And the third one as well is increased social inequalities. Today, for instance, if we take the sector of small-scale fisheries, 2 million Africans depend on small-scale fisheries as their first source of income. And it starts happening as well. Should they not have like fish to fish and to sell and to feed people, they will lose their source of income. And it's not sure today that the economies in Africa will be able to absorb people that for which their jobs are at risk. But even though that's make it's I will answer to that question afterwards. Even though this can make people sad, and it's quite alarming as well, which is the case, because basically if we don't change that, scientists estimate that by 2030 it might not be reversible. But there is still hope. The hope is because the ocean is quite actually a provider of solutions for the future. And let me explain to you why. One, because it's an ecosystem that, like, surprisingly, even though it has been damaged, is quite regenerative. Second is because there is quite the ocean, through like their interaction with our life, provide quite a bit of solutions for many economic, social, and environmental issues that we are facing currently. If I take the example of climate change, as the ocean is one of the biggest carbon sinks, there is lots of innovations that maybe can be implemented or put in place in order to see how we leverage that power to tackle the climate crisis, or how we leverage the power of the ocean to even like create clean energy. And the third reason of hope as well is because there is more and more innovators and also funders and authorities that are mobilizing to make sure that we protect and that we manage sustainably that ocean, and that we leverage the power of that ecosystem to tackle these crises. The Time magazine in September 2023, for instance, had a food spread to explain why the ocean might be our only solution to get out of that climate crisis. So I won't get into big details into that because we have limited time. But in the political landscape, we see lots of movement, whether it is on the global stage. I can list, for instance, like the biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction framework, which actually will enforce protecting 30% of the ocean globally, even far from the coast. Is quite a good signal to show that, like, globally, we are more and more cognizant that we need to protect it and to the ocean, and see how we can have like sustainable, let's say, economy activities around this ecosystem. On the continental level in Africa, there's lots of strong signal that the blue economy is becoming very strategic. On the regional level as well, every regional economic communities across Africa has a blue economy related strategy. And in terms of the national level, there is more and more African countries who are coming with either a policy or a strategy or a roadmap to make sure that they leverage the opportunities around the blue economy. And what is important is that, like, there is more and more funding that are appearing to help the development of that sector, that brand new sector. Development funding, World Bank, NORAD, USAID, etc. They all have a way to. They all have programs dedicated to fund innovation in the blue economy sector. There is more and more innovative financial instruments that are being developed around it, like insurance linked to a coral reef. The first one has been implemented in Hawaii. We have like what we call like blue bonds with the first one has been actually implemented like 5 years ago by Seychelles, so in African countries. And there is more and more work being done to measure the carbon capture by every, let's say, like ocean or coastal ecosystem, coastal ecosystems, to enable to get to redeem what we call blue carbon on the carbon market. And something else as well is there's more and more in private and philanthropy capital that is being deployed to support specifically solutions in ocean sustainability. I invite you, for instance, to go and check 1000 Ocean Starters, because they gather quite a big group of these funders of the blue economy. We are part of this coalition, and we've been part of this coalition since its inception, and every year there is more and more of a fund created dedicated to the ocean, and there's more and more philanthropic organizations also who are joining this coalition. So let's say that it's a hot topic currently. But when we talk about the blue economy, even though like there is all these signals, I think it's very important that we understand what solutions, what type of innovations can fit into that sector. And I think, like, as an ESO, and for training also ESOs to understand the blue economy and to shape blue economy focus support programs, I realize most of the time that some ESOs, they support blue economy startup, but they don't even know that it's in the blue economy. So to make it easier, we divide the type of solutions related to ocean sustainability in 4 categories. The first one is any innovative solution that help to get sustainable seafood. So this can be innovative sustainable fisheries method. This can be innovations around sustainable aquaculture, because indeed aquaculture is very important to ensure food security. But on the other side, if it's done in a certain way, it can be quite polluting as well, which will lead to other negative externalities. And there is another Another type of solutions that get into that category is alternatives to seafood. So it can be like soy-based steak, etc. But something that is even sadder is that more and more there are some innovators who are like growing tuna steak or either other type of fish steaks in a lab. And I don't know about you, but for me personally, I would be sad if in the future, the only way to eat fish is to get like lab-grown fish. So this is the first type. Any solutions that help to fight against over-exploitation of fish stock. The second one, it's any innovations that help to harness the energy of the ocean to have a clean source of energy. So in there, the type of solutions that is more advanced is anything related to offshore wind turbines. But there is also some other ocean-based renewable energy that are being explored, such as wave energy. We have like under our radar, for instance, we have like 2 innovators in Africa producing energy from waves. There is also offshore solar panel, etc. There's quite a few type of solutions there that are being explored, but they are either at the testing phase or at the research phase. And something else as well is very important to produce energy, but it's not useful if you can't store it and if you can't like make sure that that energy is brought to where it's supposed to go on land. So innovation in that sector is also needed. Then the third category is any solutions against pollution. So we have like plastic pollution, solution to prevent plastic pollution, innovations to fight against agriculture runoffs, or to have different type of input that are not pollutant to the ocean, etc., to fight against chemicals pollutants, but also noise pollutions as well, because wind turbines, for instance, is being developed, but if there is not a way to fight against the negative externalities that are linked to noise pollution, it can be also detrimental for the ecosystem around these wind turbines. And then the last one, it's any solutions that enable to save, to reduce, or to sink carbon emission. So this could be like ecotourism solution, innovations that enable to improve the efficiency of port operations or alternative to fuel, etc. All of these are in there, or also how to use the ocean to sink carbon. And we have, for instance, a startup doing that in Namibia currently called Kelp Blue that I invite you to look into, because they are quite a leader globally when it comes to leveraging seaweed, in their case sea kelp, to absorb carbon. We have very limited time, but if you want, I can take an example of startups and explain it to you in one of these categories, so that you can see tangible example of these solutions. So so we can do that during the Q&A session. And what I just wanted to show here is that there is more and more startups who are actually developing innovations in that sector. But when you look at the map of where these startups are coming from, Africa is quite lagging behind. And so this is why at OceanHub Africa, we are here. And even though every year we are scouting more and more startups, I mean, in 2019, when we started, we scouted like 30 startups. Last year, for our acceleration program, last year we got like 2012 startups. But what we've realized as well is that most of them are providing solutions related to sustainable seafood or fighting against pollution, which is important. But the other categories, not so much. And we might face a situation there where in the future we might need like to import solutions to Africa to tackle these challenges instead of developing our own. And when there is like the potential to do a lot on the continent already. So just as a last note, as a conclusion, because I would like to leave the floor for questions and interactions. This is why us at OceanHub Africa, we think that is very important to scale the support ecosystem for these startups to thrive across Africa from ideation stage to growth stage. So since last year, we've been like, we put in place a curriculum that helps sector agnostic or ESOs who are sensitive to climate tech that help them to design their own blue tech, blue economy focused program and also mentor them to do so. So far we've supported 9 plus 5, 14 ESOs in that regard. And we are in the process of supporting 10 others and to bring them as a community of practice so that they can learn from each other. So if you are interested in that, don't hesitate to contact me. And because also this session was quite short, I put here a link to a page where you will get like lots of resources to understand a bit more the blue economy. There is some podcast link there. There is some important reports and also some guidance for ESOs when it comes to leveraging, when it comes like to understanding a bit more how to support the startups of this sector. So that's it for me. I think we have 10 minutes for a Q&A.
Brilliant. Thanks, Roland. It was enlightening. Did you, yeah, has anyone else got any other questions? I think Eric's asked, why is it so difficult to get authorities to keep order in the ocean ecosystem? I mean, yeah, we we all come across that with challenges of freight and exploitation of fishing and international waters. I think, yeah, maybe shed some light on that, a bit more light on that.
Yeah, I think first thing first, the realization that we need to change how we manage our water is quite recent. So a good signal is that there is more and more regulations being discussed around that. For instance, I did not list it, but like the World Trade Organization, it's listed on the slide, but I did not talk about it. The World Trade Organization now has passed a law which condemn the subsidizing of let's say fishing companies that are doing like massive fishing, like we call that like trolling fishing. So this is quite a strong signal. Is it enough? No, but it's quite like something to note. And yeah, in there, like I'd rather be a bit optimistic and thinking that it will change over time instead of focusing on what has been done in the past, which is very bad. Yeah. Any success stories about ocean energy harvesting? I mean, in when it comes to offshore, wind turbines, I think like, yes, there are some success stories, and most of them are in like the Baltic country. Yeah. When it comes to Africa, it's quite at the early stages. On our side, we've supported someone like in the wind offshore turbine who has gotten like lots of success raising investment fund to go further, but still it is still at the testing phase. And we are also close to we also supported a startup who are turning seaweed into biofuel as well. But yes, same, still very early stages. So it's not success stories, once again, because it's quite new, but there is movement.
So Eric, you mentioned as well, yeah, interesting. You didn't realize there's so much going on in the space. Yeah, I mean, there's huge. And I think I can add to that, but just, all corporates around the world for the last few years have been given the mandate from governments and from communities to increase their sustainable development goals and make sure they meet them. So, with the ocean being so large, it is and such a huge effect on us daily. This is a growing space.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of the sustainable development goals, also like experts, they recognize that the sustainable development goal that is related to life below water, so the ocean, it's also the one contributed to the most other SDGs, like quite cross-cutting. Cross-cutting, I think it's the second one after the one related to partnership. How does inland Africa support or contribute to the cause? This is very important. So I mean, I work for OceanHub Africa, so our activities related to the ocean, but we are very close to the African Union. And when they develop their action plan and their strategy for the blue economy, in the definition they included inland water as well. So I think in terms of protecting inland waters, I mean, like even though the solutions might not be the same, the interest should be also the same. Sorry, and there is quite a lot of solutions, for instance, that are around aquaculture, etc., in inland water, that when they've proven like to be successful, they see what to change and what to adjust to make sure that like the same innovation can be applied into ocean ecosystems. So no, I think like inland water is also feeding like a large portion of the African population. So I think like, yeah, there is a lot that can be done and that should be done there as well.
Great. Helen, just, I mean, you gave some examples of some people that some incubators that you're working with already. I mean, just like how are you, like maybe another example of other incubators that you're finding that have never done anything in the ocean, and how they taking to it, and how you preparing them to become ocean incubators.
So basically, so first thing first, we have like a similar type of session first that you got, so that they realize like the importance of it and also the opportunity behind it. And as I said, guys, like funding for this sector is growing currently. And then we run them through a full program so that they understand the persona of what we call blue entrepreneurs, so entrepreneurs in that sector. We help them mapping the ecosystem in their country around this sector, and then we help them like building a blue tech focus program that relies already on the service offer that they have. So we don't want to let's say to change the nature of the ESOs, but we help them to build a blue vertical that already respect the structure of their usual program. And then I think what is the most important in what we provide is that we have regular one-on-one. Well, so we help them develop an action plan to build that blue vertical, and then we have like regular one-on-one with them to keep them on their toes. And it's exactly the same methodology that we do with our startups. And then we connect them with the right person that help them to get like the right, let's say like expertise, for instance, for this program, or also we connect them with the right potential funding partners or technical partners. So it's more or less that. So the first time that we piloted that program was last year. It was a 7-month program, and out of 9, there were like 4 of them that straight away after that program, without funding on our side, who managed to launch their Blue Tech Focus program directly.
Awesome, thank you. There's one other question that's coming in. I would like to know more about the startups that have benefited from your program, and also shed light on whether you support inland startups.
So we have supported inland startups, but most of the time it's because they were provided solutions to fight against pollution that could have been applied to coastal countries as well. And when it comes to the startups that we support, I'm just gonna put a link in the chat where you can have access to our portfolio. Here we go. And yeah, we have limited times, but like I can talk for hours about the startups that we support. Then, so don't get me started. Go on the link, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask them to me.
Awesome. That will help. Yeah. So, any other questions? Donna, I thought I'd hear from you as well. You're always quite vocal on these things. I know you're inland, being in Uganda, but I know you've always got some really great questions for the group.
Thank you, Rex. I don't really have any question today, but it was quite interesting to listen in. And so, of course, our speaker, I can't pronounce his name well. Thank you so much. I think it's great to understand the blue ocean economy and how we can really, benefit from it, and how we can, see how we can also, make money, but at the same time, also how do we then preserve it? And yeah, so it was quite interesting. Over here in Uganda, we're doing well. I don't know if my colleague Diana has anything to say. Otherwise, I think that's it from my side. Over to you, Rex.
Thanks, Donna. I'd like to call on Donna. Great comments. Thanks, Donna. And Vina has asked some questions, so that's great to get some insight from your side. So yeah, just any other final questions, you're welcome to put up your hand or just turn your mic on and ask. Otherwise, we can close out the session.
Yes, Rex. Apollo Segawa here again from Chorot. Quite insightful to know what's happening around the oceans. As Donna said, we are properly inland here, but we got our good, nice Lake Victoria. So fresh water without the troubles of the salt water and good and nice things that happen by the ocean side. But it's inspiring to see what can be done and around the water. So very good. The speaker basically opened our heads up to what more we can do with entrepreneurs that want to do something around our water bodies. Thanks very much again.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, it was intriguing, very different. Something that a lot of people don't think about as well. But as mentioned, a huge part of the world, 70% of the earth that has to be looked after. And people are just realizing how much they've let it just do. And the big thing, and coming from me, so I'm one of the founders of the Ocean Innovation Africa event in Cape Town where we do this. So that's why I've got so much information that I can give you on it. On top of this, is that the biggest problem is that it's very easy to see what's happening on land. It's in your face. But when we look at the ocean, we only see the shiny blue top of it. And don't know what's going on underneath. And we're throwing nets down there and pulling stuff out and drilling holes and doing whatever we want down there. And no one's actually seeing what's going on. So it's coming to light now that really you have to look after the ocean, and it plays such a big part on what weather conditions do and life on Earth is affected. So it's really great to have you all in the session today. Herland, thank you very much for enlightening us on this. Please reach out to Herland, link up with him on LinkedIn as well. They're always looking for various ESOs to work with, and really start getting involved in what's happening on the ocean front. So lovely.